smashed a handsome stranger at his birthday party. He ended our marriage on the spot. One night of mistake and everything I thought we had shattered. I never meant to break us, but that night changed everything, and he didn't even hesitate to walk away. It was the worst and most humiliating moment of my life. Yes, I shouldn't have hooked up with a stranger at his party. I know that sounds very wrong, but it was clearly not intentional. I really never wanted it to end this way, but things took a different turn, and now I'm here all crushed and broken to pieces. This is my only way of venting, of letting it out to see if the pain will ease a bit or go away. My name is Elsa, and I have been married to my husband for 5 good years, and yet a few moments of my selfish desires made all those years seem like it never existed. I realized in that moment that I lost myself more than I lost him. The secrets that existed between my soul and the physical parts of my body alone were brought to the open. Never in my wildest dream did I ever think my husband knew my dark side. Never did I think he knew the private, intimate things I felt deeply inside were transparent to him. It was truly heartbreaking to know that he heard the desires I never dare spoke of, and now everything is ruined. My life is completely damaged. I always thought my husband was slow to pick up things and was never observant, but after his birthday, I realized my thoughts were about me and never him. I only just projected it on him. This is because I was too carried away by my sinful desires. I was thinking I could have my cake and eat it, but life had a funny way of denying me of that. What I'm trying to say is that from the very first year of my marriage, I have been cheating on my husband. This is not something I'm proud of, but it wasn't something I could control. My body just had a way of lighting up, like sparking little flames, whenever I was around certain kinds of people. I couldn't exactly ask it to stop. It doesn't work that way. I knew that, and that's why I never stopped or even tried to find a way to deny it of what it demanded. So I feed it every now and then. I won't lie, it's a very thrilling experience. I had fun, but I guess the consequences of that kind of fun are brutal. And brutal doesn't sit well with me. It makes my heart ache. The only good reward is that my body no longer needs to be satisfied. So I think maybe this is what I needed to be able to help myself, but at the same time, it was just too harsh. I have to explain my situation so you would understand where I'm coming from, so you would understand why that smashing that had happened at his party. Most people in the same situation as me would know that these desires are uncontrollable and inevitable. Maybe it's natural because we never asked ourselves to make us seek desires where we never were supposed to. When I got married to my husband, our intimate moment was on fire, and I was having a blast. Then, my body needed different experiences to feel good, and I couldn't even get that experience from one man. It was impossible. Different styles and positions didn't change anything. Engaging in it was a waste of time. It felt different but the same. This is why I ended up cheating. First, hear me out. When this feeling first occurred, I didn't know how to tell my husband. I didn't want him to see me any less or think of me as a slut. Also, I didn't want him to feel bad because it was not really his fault. I guess in my past life, I was used to exploring due to the way I was feeling, and I thought it had calmed down, but it didn't. I realized that after I married my husband. But what could I do? I didn't want to cheat on him because I truly love him, and I knew cheating wasn't a good thing. So during our playful moments or intimate moments, I initiated conversations about things like threesome and other wild stuff like orgy. That was my hint because I wanted us to be in it together instead of searching for it somewhere else. My husband asked me if I was serious, and I laughed and brushed it off as a joke because the tone of his voice when he asked the question told me he would never agree to my suggestion. That was when I hid under the mask of a movie plot. I told him that I saw partners in movies engage themselves in orgies and other stuff like exchanging sexual partners to keep their intimate life more fun and wild, so that's why I brought it up, and he asked me if I wasn't satisfied with our moments and if that's why I thought of that. Because those couples did do that because they felt their sexual life wasn't perfect. I laughed and said no. I was only curious why they had to go that far, and that's why I mentioned it because it sounded and looked silly to me. And I just wanted to know if he thought of it the same way as me, and he said that was a relief because he thought I meant he was underperforming or I was no longer sexually attracted to him. I told him that can never happen, and that was the truth. If anything, my husband was overperforming and I loved it. I just needed a wild, thrilling life, and I didn't know how to initiate that with us. Next time, I brought up the idea of an open marriage. I asked his thoughts on it. If he had ever thought about being in an open marriage, he laughed, then asked why I keep bringing up weird stuff, and I told him that I just wanted to know, and that he should ignore what I think about it generally, and answer if he had ever thought of it before. And he responded with a firm no. All my efforts in making him understand me failed greatly, so I gave up for a few days. Then, after thinking of several to help my hopeless situation, I met a hot guy when I went grocery shopping. He was so charming that everything in me responded sensually to him. I don't know why it happened that way, but I couldn't help it. I kept glancing his way, smiling. Then he finally noticed me. In the middle of our little shopping, he started flirting with me, and I flirted back. Luckily for me, we were feeling the same way. Because when he offered to give me a ride, we had a quick one. It was maddening and intense. A short moment of greatness, I would love to call it. Then I got his contact and told him I'd give him a call if I ever needed any of his hot services. When I got home, the remnants of the sweet memories and feelings made me grab my husband and kiss him deeply and tell him how much I loved him, and he responded back. That was the good thing. There was never a dull moment with him. And the situation of grabbing and kissing was something I did at random, so there was no way it was going to be suspicious. Then my husband and I went into it, and it was refreshing and super good. Now it felt really different and almost like the best I've had with him. I started thinking I was right. This was exactly what I needed. Then I wanted more and more of it. Also, I didn't want my husband to miss out on the fun. I wanted him to be part of it. That way it would be crazy. The more the merrier, if you get what I'm saying. To add, I didn't also want to bear the consequences alone, just in case things get out of hand or go sour, or I get caught. So I wanted it to be a couple's thing and not a me thing. Later at night that day, I brought up the topic again. Threesome. Orgy. I even asked him how he would feel to watch me enjoy a passionate moment with someone else. He was like I'm crazy for even thinking of that. I told that I'm only asking him that question because I want to be his safe place, that I am an understanding and open-minded wife, and I needed to know the fun and crazy things my husband would like, even though they were stupid and fun, and that I wanted us to be a couple that talks about everything without having issues, because this would help us understand each other better and know what to expect and how to handle our different lives and desires better. I twisted everything and sugar-coated it to favor me. Thinking about it now, I guess that was when he started suspecting me. My husband responded that he gets my fears, and he knows how most partners secretly want things, but never told their partner about it. Maybe because they're scared they won't be open to it. So due to that, they end up having affairs outside or doing dirty things. He caressed me and told me not to worry. He is not like that. That he loved me too much to share. This answer made me happy and sad. I was happy to be his only object of affection, but sad to know that he wasn't ever going to make me or let me explore crazy moments with him. I wished at that moment I could open up my mouth and tell him I was that partner he said he would never dare be to me. I wished I could tell him all the things I wanted to be engaged in with him, but no, I couldn't. My words were caught in my throat, and that was when I started silencing my desires when it came to him, knowing he would never be part of the deal. I needed to find my own way because I was starving. I was tired of waiting, although I have already done one wrong, but I couldn't wait to have my husband's support before I could have fun. I was allowed to live my life in a way that I wouldn't look back and regret. Although it's ironic because I'm looking now and I'm still regretting it. The things I thought I should see to the end, so I won't have any moments of regret, ended up being my nightmare. Life is funny, truly. Anyways, that night, my husband asked why I kept talking about things like that, and if I was hinting at anything, and if I wanted any of that. I said no, I had to, because saying yes would have ended our marriage. I felt it at that moment, so I knew better to say no. He told me people who engage in that were wired differently from us, and we are not them, and I shouldn't let other people's insecurities interfere with the good thing we had going on. Unknown to him that he was oblivious to my situation, that I was wired differently too, and I carved whatever those people craved. I wanted all of it. I mean, you only live once, why not enjoy all the good things of life? That was my mindset then, but now I know. Not everything in life is meant to be enjoyed. Some things come with a price, And that truth is carved deep into me now, engraved in my brain. But then, I didn't hesitate. I went ahead to contact the grocery guy. I don't know his name. I didn't want to know. I didn't care about what he did, and I didn't want us to have any personal relationship aside from what was going on. Our business was just to meet up, eat each other all up, and then get out. I hated that I had to have him all to myself. I wasn't selfish. I always did everything with my husband, but sadly, he didn't want a hand in this. That experience with the grocery guy, it could have been a jackpot for my husband and me, but he shattered it himself, like winning the lottery and then tearing up the ticket. It was definitely heartbroken, I won't lie, but I had to move past it. Then, again and again, me and the grocery guy hooked up several times without failing to have a great moment. Then I called it off. I got bored. It became the same, and it was no longer as exciting as before. I had to end it. Sure, the guy was not happy. What could he do? Nothing, so I got rid of it. When my body no longer responds to yours, you become totally useless to me. That was the game. Everything in me was playing. It sounds sick. I know, but that was my reality. Thankfully, it was never the same with my husband, because I love him. The connection we had was great, too great to let my body interfere with our relationship. So I was still attracted to him in all ways. I just needed us to spice things up, but that was something I couldn't make happen. But it was all right. I found a way to make it happen. Next were two guys I met a few weeks after I dumped the other guy. They were friends, and they were open to all the strange ways fun showed up. Young and wild soul. I loved it then. So we did all kinds of things. The things I couldn't do with my husband, we did. They made everything I ever imagined doing come to life. I could just pretend one was my husband and the other was just a random guy, there to spice things up. With that thinking, every moment was mind-blowing. We did the naughtiest of things that ever existed. And yes, we didn't also share personal information. I never make the mistake in case anything goes sour. I didn't want to be identified. The good thing about this affair was going back home and having a good time with my husband. The feeling of being loved in the craziest of ways always had a positive impact on our intimate moment. It made me want my husband to consume all of me. We were always on fire, and that fire never dimmed, not even for a moment, until the very end. I needed us to keep burning bright. I needed that flame that never once faded, until the end, to last forever. So I kept doing what I was doing with the two guys, and I never for once looked back. I didn't even think I was going to back out anything soon, but I did after like 5 months. I did after an orgy topic came up and they were not too excited about it. I thought they were wild and fun, but they disappointed me by saying it was something they never tried before. So that means they were not actually as wild and crazy as I thought. I made them do other things though. I had control. They both wanted me. I gave them what most people couldn't at any time they wanted, so I used my power to suit my wild desires. Sometimes I would ask them to look at my bare body and play with themselves while I watched. And sometimes I would ask one of them to watch me with the others while he played around with himself. Sometimes I would ask them to go fight for me sexually, and that the one that did the most work would have an overtime with me. It was dirty, crazy, and fun then, but now it sounds stupid and disgusting. So before I cut them off, they noticed I was about to and agreed to an orgy. They brought friends they knew were interested in such things, both male and female. Thankfully that night my husband was out of town, so it was an all-night event, and I loved it. But after that, I called it off. It was great, but I wasn't interested in making people do what they didn't want to. There's no pleasure in that. So that was it. After that, the guys never heard of me again. It was an orgy-themed costume event, so that way, no one that was invited could ever recognize me. Trust me, I dropped some cash for the guys because they really tried for me, and that was also my compensation for backing out after everything we've done together. I don't want to continue opening about the shitty things I did. I just explained a few things so you guys can understand why I did what I did at my husband's birthday party. This confession would only make sense that way. In a way, I want to say my husband also contributed to this, but I shouldn't. Why I want to say that is because he was so rigid and close-minded, and that's what pushed me outside, but I can't fault him. I really can't. I love him too much to fault him. I would never, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't acknowledge he played a part in this. Fast forward to my husband's birthday week. Everything I had going on in my life had ended. I wanted a perfect birthday week for him. He was special and dear to me. He was so excited and he wanted to have a house party. I gave him full support. That week, I was all by his side, making plans together and making sure everything turned out perfectly well. And it did. The party turned out so well. Like it started out well. He invited his friends, coworkers, and a few other people he was in touch with. I had a few of my friends come over. We wanted the night to be nothing short of amazing, having a great time with people we loved dearly. But then, it was totally the opposite, and it was because of me. If I had seen this coming, I wouldn't have gotten close to any man in that party aside from my husband. The thing is, I wanted me and my husband to have an amazing time after everyone had gone. I wanted that familiar flame that burns whenever I engage intimate with another before sleeping with him. I wanted that feeling. I wanted to intensify the moment for him. He had always told me he loved me dearly after those moments, so this was supposed to be my little secret gift to him. Something wild, something he'd never expect, but it backfired and I lost everything. I know you're probably thinking, how is betrayal wrapped in excitement a gift? Well, back then I wasn't thinking of it that way. But now I realize it was all about me, about my carving for more, for something that was not supposed to even exist in our lives. That was the reason why I did what I did. My eyes landed on a strange, handsome guy who happened to be my husband's coworker's brother. He was smiling too much at me. I don't know if he was trying to warm up to the host's wife or what, but that didn't matter to me. What mattered at that moment was how my body was calling for him. Then, the thought of sneaking out with him, and then, returning to give my husband the most lovable moments of his life formed in my head. So yeah, I thought of ways to make sure he was thinking the same thing as well. I wouldn't want to make a fool of myself. I really wouldn't want to do that. So there was only one way to find out, and have my plan turn out perfectly well. While everyone was so into themselves and whatever activities that were going on at the moment, I made my way to him. I made sure to check around, and my husband was occupied with his friends, so I was sure nothing could go wrong. I grabbed a glass of wine and walked over to the guy, then pretended as if I was passing by. Then my glass tilted, and the wine spilled straight onto his chest. I gasped, dramatic and apologetic. My hand flew to his shirt like it had a mind of its own. I was talking fast. "I'm so sorry, oh my God, I didn't mean to," while dabbing at his chest like I could undo it. He laughed and said it was fine, but I wasn't done. I needed to see my plan to the end. I told him the other bathroom was full, the one everyone knew, and that there was another at the end of the hallway, barely used, the one nobody asks about, or knew about except for me and my husband. So I took him there, and then I closed the door behind us. He immediately asked, "What about my husband?" as if he had been waiting for that green light. I told him not to worry, that it was just going to be a quick one round and my husband doesn't have to find out. Besides, no one would come looking for us here, and he agreed. He was into me, and that was perfect. I just needed something wild to carry in my head before having a good time with my husband, so I quickly stripped and went at it, and I went crazy because the guy was too good, so one round wasn't enough. We initiated round 2. I was moaning so loudly and freely because I knew no one could hear me. Loud music was blasting at the party scene, and everyone was so busy dancing, gisting, and flirting, so we were okay. But that was dumb of me to think that way. I forgot that my husband could look for me anytime. And just as we were about to finish our 3rd round, the door opened and my husband froze in shock. I quickly scrambled to cover myself, and the guy tried to run, but my husband stopped him. My heart dropped to my stomach. I didn't know how I would be able to defend myself. I didn't see a way out of it. My husband pulled out his phone and made a video of me and the guy together. I was so shameless to speak. I started crying, and the guy hated me at that moment. After that, he left and told us to come downstairs when we were done. He sounded so calm and not upset. That was strange. When he left, I exhaled, but then the guy started cursing at me for shamelessly trying to drag him down. I told him to calm him, that my husband wasn't even mad, so why was he mad? And that my husband was into the same thing as me, so we had an understanding. I had to make it look that way to him because I believed at that moment that that was the only reason why he wasn't so mad. So we quickly dressed up and hurried down. When we got down, my husband decided he had an announcement to make. He gathered everyone, and I started shaking. What would he possibly have to say? I hope he wasn't just pretending earlier, because we were going to talk about it after the party. For some reason, I was relieved after he said that he had the best birthday present for himself, that a celebrant deserves to enjoy his day to the fullest and celebrate how he wants. Then he added, "What's the point of having a gift like this if no one gets to see it and share in the joy?" Next, he called me to his side and everyone applauded, and he thanked me for helping him get the best birthday gift ever and for freeing him from everything that was not worth it. It was a beautiful, touching speech. I can't quote him word for word, but he made it sound so beautiful, and most people were already having wet eyes. I didn't suspect a thing. I thought maybe he was just a little elevated. High on the moment, the way people get when something big shifts inside them. I figured maybe after what I did, he felt freer too. Like he didn't have to hide in the closet anymore. Like now he knew I wouldn't judge him if he wanted to be part of all that. I truly believed we were on the same page, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Then he gave me an envelope and asked me to open it. When I did, it was divorce papers together with pictures of me with different men I have hooked up with. My breath seized and my eyes widened in horror. I was visibly shaking. At this point, our guests were curious. He smiled and told them that his wife was just too shocked given how grand the gift was, that he wanted me to have a look at it first before he showed it to everyone. I was slowly dying inside. I didn't know how to react, and he smiled, caressed my hair, and whispered into my ears, "Sign it immediately, or you will suffer greatly." Then he smiled at our guests and asked them to give us a moment. I pleaded with him quietly, but he told me if I wanted things to end peacefully, then I should do as he said. Then he gave me a pen, and I quickly signed, and everyone clapped and cheered. I wondered what they thought it was I was signing. I knew they had no idea, but I hated them for celebrating my pain and loss. Then my husband announced out loud, "Thank you, Elsa. This is the most beautiful gift you could ever give me. Thank you for helping me achieve this for myself." He raised his glass and told everyone to drink and be merry because we were divorced. And he was free from everything. He dropped the pictures on the floor and took only the divorce papers with him. Everyone was stunned, but he just walked out laughing. People quickly rushed over, trying to see what the pictures were all about. I broke down in tears. I was too weak to move. And then the comments started, people saying ungodly things to me, ignoring the fact that I was seated there in front of them. And a video started playing, which silenced the mutters that were going on. It was projected on the wall. It was a video of me and the guy at his party. My husband showed me no mercy. For someone I loved so dearly, it was the most heartbreaking thing ever. I cried my lungs out. I was abused verbally and almost physically by our guests. I was also accused of being a terrible person and ruining my husband's birthday. My friends didn't even try to take my side or comfort me. They all acted as strangers. They didn't care to ask for an explanation. They knew I wasn't someone that would do something like that without a reason, but none of them acted as if we were friends. They joined the others. That day became my nightmare. I didn't know what to do. I was deeply and openly embarrassed. When everyone left, I approached my husband thinking he had calmed down. I begged him. I tried to explain everything to him, but he didn't change his mind. During our heated moment of confrontation, I realized he had been suspecting me for a while, but he refused to act on it. He had no evidence, so he couldn't confront me because he would look like he was making things up in his head. So he tried to continue to love me sincerely and care for me. Also at a point, he was doubting his thoughts, but when things got out of hand, he had to find a way to make that feeling go away because it was messing with him badly. So he hired someone, an investigator, and that was how he was able to gather evidence. Although it wasn't all my dirty acts that were brought to light, it was only the recent ones. The investigator had only gotten back to him that day of his birthday during the party. He had only already prepared divorce papers because he didn't want to waste a second with me if everything he suspected turned out to be true. But he hoped, prayed, and believed that that should never be the case, so when he received it, so he would just apologize to me and never go back to thinking that way about me. But he was shocked when he received the pictures and wanted to come ask me about it. Then he couldn't find me at the party scene, so he decided to check around, and when he found me, I was smashing another guy, under his roof. Not even caring it was his birthday. That just finalized everything for him. I understood how he felt, so I apologized and tried to convince him to see the reasons why I did what I did. But he said that was the most stupid thing he had ever heard, and that I should get out of his house by the end of tomorrow. The next time he would even bear to share the same air as me, he said, would be in court. And that I should save myself the strength and the words because the court would need them more than he ever would. Then he grabbed his things and left. This was my doing. I couldn't blame him. I just needed him to change his mind. I had nowhere else to go. I was sure words had already gotten to my family. My family was so strict, so I don't know what to do. Any advice that would help return things back to normal is welcomed, even if it would take years. I'm ready to go with it. I just need to be sure that there is hope and my husband will destroy the divorce papers, leaving everything he saw behind. I'm in so much pain. I just want to do anything that will ease that pain and put my life back together. Update. There's no easier way to say this. I was willing to ignore the fact that my husband humiliated me publicly because I love him, and also hoped that that would help patch things back together. I tried so hard to tell him that I no longer carve all those dirty things and I control everything now. But my husband still threw me out of his house. He showed me no mercy, even when I begged and cried. I even stayed outside the day he threw me out. I slept on the porch, but that man had already made his decision, and there was no way I was going to change his mind. I was sad. I was even more broken because he refused to acknowledge the fact that I did all these, so it would have heightened our passionate moment together. I never intended to do any shitty things behind his back. We were supposed to be in it together, so things like this ending of our story would be avoided, but then I was the one who took the fall. Because he was too rigid, he wasn't flexible enough to adapt to the modern way of spicing a marriage up. Now, I suffer alone because I was left to make my choices alone. I wished I could go back in time and change things, or convinced him to change his mind about how he felt about some certain situations. I wish I could do all of that, but it's too late because everything has been completed. The divorce was finalized, and he's my ex-husband now. Sounds funny because I never thought we were ever going to be apart, and that's what's making me go crazy. I can never stand that. My parents have rejected me. They're very religious and strict, so I knew that was never a safe place to return to. They even told me that I am possessed and I need deliverance, as if that was truly the case. They were all dramatic and super religious, especially my mom Dot, talking about how I am the devil's minions, and I need to go to church with them so I can be delivered. If not, they refused to have anything to do with me. I knew nothing that was all bullshit, because clearly nothing was wrong with me. I needed to keep my desires in check, and since what happened between my ex-husband and I no longer misbehave. It's true I needed to learn a lesson, to know the right path to work, and I have. So whatever my parents said didn't make sense to me. Due to that, I was rejected by them, and I had to leave their house. I called a high school friend and pleaded to stay with her for a while. It took a lot of convincing for her to let me stay with her. I even lied about what led to my divorce, so she wouldn't distance herself from me. I needed to save my face so I could have a roof under my head. Maybe one day she would find out, or she never would. But anyhow, it turns out to be. I'll be more prepared then. Right now, I'm just barely holding on, and I don't want to keep messing things up for myself. I want to try to do better, even if it means lying to someone that sheltered me. Because the pain is already too much for me. It's like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulder, and my heart will stop beating anytime soon. I am so mad with my ex-husband because I lost my job as well due to this. My coworkers were at the party that day. Some of my friends were one of them. They betrayed me and took the whole situation to our work premises. It affected me badly. I was so good at my job and one of the quality staff, but apparently it seems the company cares so much more about reputation than quality, so I was fired. And that meant no source of living. It's so sad because my ex-husband didn't even hesitate when he tried to ruin my reputation. He should have stopped at the divorce, but no, he had to crash everything. He didn't even think of how badly that was going to affect me. He went hard on me. Too hard. I am very hopeless now, too hopeless to have hope for better things. And I wished I could just disappear. But disappearing is not that easy at all. It seems nothing is easy except engaging in bad things, which I'm so done with. I might try therapy because I don't want to end up hating my ex-husband for the rest of my life.